welcome to Magic Box Storytime with me, Lottie. Today, we are going to find out what happens in Chapter 2 of The Tale of Professor Orange. Professor Orange and his team of small helpers are on their way to Mount Hua Hua Wah Wah to try and find a drib-drab diamond that they need to fix the royal washing machine. Chapter 2, Super Shock Sinkholes. It was a bit drizzly at first, but after the traffic lights, the weather cleared and the day was a fine one. They sang and walked and thought about science, and then, after they'd climbed 3 hills, gone down 4 valleys, and swum across 2 oceans, the second one was very small, more of a pond, Professor Orange stopped and said, "Oh, do you know what? I've managed to remember something, and it's rather important. On the way to Mount Hua Hua Wah Wah, we must take care not to fall into any super shock sinkholes. They are holes common in this area which just suddenly appear in the ground and swallow you up. Fascinating, of course, but ghastly if you fall in." "Ghastly," nodded his team. "But don't worry," said Professor Orange. "There are warning signs to help us avoid such a calamity. First, you hear a rumbling, and then your knees begin to wobble terribly. Now we know that, we'll be fine." They carried on walking as casually as they could whilst looking for super shock sinkhole warning signs. It meant the journey felt a bit more tense than before, but it was still enjoyable on a certain level. At least, it was, until the professor came to an abrupt halt and shouted, "Shh!" They all stopped. "Did you hear that?" said Professor Orange. "Was that a rumbling? No? Am I mistaken? My knees aren't wobbling. Let's continue." He strode off, and Theo and the team followed, thinking the professor might be a smidge more mad than they'd first thought. But then he stopped again. "Shh!" he cried. "There! I'm sure that's definitely rumbling I can hear, and oh my knees. Look at my knees, trembling like leaves, and look at your knees." He pointed at Theo. And yours, and yours." He pointed at everyone's knees, and sure enough, their legs were all a-quiver, and the whole team felt a bit nervous all of a sudden. "Rotten rats," said Professor Orange. "There must be a massive super shock sinkhole about to open up. I am wobbling all over. Quick, grab hold of something, anything, and don't let go." The team looked around and started hanging on to things. Tree trunks, standing stones, a handy ancient climbing frame that had been there since the Aztecs, vines dangling from branches, anything they could find. And as they clung on for dear life, the ground in front of them seemed to yawn wide and become a gaping hole. "Look at that," said the professor. "An enormous sinkhole. Wait, everyone. If we wait and hang on, the shaking will be over soon. 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 And release. Let go." The team let go of all the things they'd grabbed and peered over the edge of the hole. "But don't fall in!" screeched Professor Orange. "Everybody hold hands." "Yes, everybody, Theo." "That's right. And let's creep carefully round the edge to safer ground." They crept and teetered, and somebody slipped a bit, and somebody else said, "I've got you." And they crept even more carefully. They'd never been so incredibly careful, in fact. And finally, they got to the other side of the hole, where the ground was nice and solid again. "Phew," said Professor Orange. "We made it," said Theo. "High five," said the team, and they all high-fived one another, apart from the professor, because he didn't know what high five meant and they had to teach him. Once he'd got it, he said, "Good work, team. Let's have a sit-down and a snack. Who wants some raisins?" Everybody wanted raisins, except one small person who said he preferred sultanas, but he made do. The professor pulled 2 handfuls of raisins out of his lab coat pocket. "They've been in there a while," he said. "I apologise if they are somewhat fluffy." Smooth raisins, fluffy raisins. After the awful danger of the super shock sinkhole, nobody cared at all. And that is the end of Chapter 2 of The Tale of Professor Orange. I do hope you can join me next time when we'll find out what happens in Chapter 3. Thank you so much for listening to Magic Box Storytime with me, Lottie. Take care. Bye.